TK, the Raisin Man.
All right, we are back with our last team to cover for the NFC North, and that is the Chicago Bears.
The Bears.
Yeah, the Bears. 5-12 last year. I got them at 8.5. Whoa, high expectations, and at least by MGM standards for the Bears with the second hardest schedule. I'm intrigued here. I'm intrigued to see what other people are seeing because a lot's going to be on that young man on the screen, Mr. Caleb Williams, and his new head coach, Ben Johnson, as you see him up there. Chicago, man, they did do a lot going into this season, but we got to take a look at what they did last year before we get into that. And I'm going to bring in Coach and Pat here in just a second. But to me, it seems like the Bears needed more from Caleb Williams. It seems like they needed more because they got a lot of talent, as we will see. We'll get into it. And they had a lot of talent last year as well. I just feel like they need a little more. Now, the coach took the axe. I can't think of the guy's name right now, but Eberflus. He got fired, and they bring in Ben Johnson. But was it really all his fault? So that's kind of the way I'm looking at the Bears right now. Was it really all his fault? And is Ben Johnson the upgrade that they needed to get the most out of their number one overall pick from a year ago, Mr. Caleb Williams? But fellas, y'all talk to me about what you guys seeing out there from the Chicago Bears last year.
Yeah, Chicago Bears, man, they started off hot because they didn't play hardly anybody in the beginning of the season, and then when they got to the meat of their schedule, they saw exactly what I said Caleb Williams was coming out of USC. I don't believe that he's a leader. He's a talent. Don't get it twisted. He's a talent, but I don't believe he's a leader of men. You see what I'm saying? And then the defense started to get some injuries. They started to break down. And Caleb Williams started to break down a little bit for them. And they started losing games. They lost the game to the Commanders on a Hail Mary. And that really just put them in a snowball effect and made them only had 5 victories last year, but they are a talented team. I believe they have a talented GM. I believe that GM knows what he's doing, and he's getting the people and putting the pieces on that team to be successful. But it's going to come down to your all-world number one pick in Caleb Williams. When things get tough, is he going to pout? Is he going to, sit down, hold his head down? Is he going to neglect his teammates? Is he going to shut everybody out? Or is he going to go out there on that field and lead and put people in place in order to, be successful and be the team that the Bears want to be, which is a playoff team? But we're going to hear about what happened with the Bears last year as far as what they did statistically with Coach. But I just think this team will underachieve as long as Caleb Williams doesn't develop into that leader they need him to be.
Well, as you guys can see by the numbers, the rankings, their points, they were at 28th. Yards, dead last. Pass yards, speaking on the quarterback, 31st. Pass touchdowns, 21st. Interceptions, 6. Okay. Rush yards, 25th. Touchdowns, 20th. The defense, now staying focused on that, that just speaks volumes to your offense. Some of it is the philosophy, some of it is the talent. As a quarterback, when your pass yards are 31st and you're the number 1 overall draft pick, it's easy for fans to sit here and say you are the problem. Now, defensively, their points scored, they were 13th, so they're a little bit above the middle of the pack, almost pushing into the top 10, but their total yards was 27, pass yards was 16, touchdowns was number 1. Pass interceptions is 19th, rush yards is 28th, and rush touchdowns is 21st. So, number 1, I will say this: they're not letting teams throw the ball into the touchdown, into the end zone, but they are rushing it in. 24, you are on the bottom spectrum, so that's probably why it's a little skewed. But that's just an old coach, trying to give you a little bit of knowledge. So right now I'm going to turn it over to my brothers, NYG and Big Pat Sports Talk. Y'all take the helm, fellas.
Thanks, Coach, man. Let's see what the Bears will be missing going into 2025 NFL season. Not too far away, man. I'm getting excited, man. But name jumps out to me, man. You see him right there on the screen, man. This is my pick, man, for key losses here, and that's Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, of course, should be a future Hall of Famer when it's all said and done, man. This guy's been doing it and doing it well his entire career. He was pretty good last year for Chicago too. Of course, coming over from the Chargers. Now, Coach is going to get into, what Coach is going to get into, but when you're talking about a rookie quarterback and you're saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those sexy fatties not there anymore, raising some eyebrows, but it's not like the Bears, they can only go up. You see what I'm saying? 5-12. So they had to have some type of turnover. What type of team are they building? I don't know. We'll get into the depth chart later. But who do y'all got as a key loss up here? Taking a look at this list. It's an extensive list, too.
I actually got Mr. Keenan Allen, man. Been reading my mind all day, NYG. Keenan Allen is a huge loss for the Chicago Bears. I just think because of his, his savvy and the way that he performed on the field when they actually got him the ball, he still showed that he's a productive receiver. And can they replace what Keenan Allen did last year for them as far as being a pass catcher in the middle of the field, being that guy that can run those routes to get open to where Caleb Williams had easy throws to the outside. And he was a major red zone threat for him last year, too. So this can turn out to be a huge loss for the Chicago Bears if they can't replace that productivity in the red zone that he brought them and moving the chains. And he's a leader, man. Keenan Allen wants to win. He gets everybody energized, and he was teaching those young guys how to run those routes like Romo Dunze. But he's no longer there, so he's no longer doing it well in Chicago. Maybe he comes to Brooklyn and start doing it well, like LL himself. He's mentioned to the Giants. But, hey, Coach, talk to him, man. Major losses for the Chicago Bears.
Trench warfare. What more can I say? Bring up that list again. Yeah, here we go. We can talk about Tevin Jenkins. Borum, Carlton, all of them. That literally could be a starting 5 So, but when you think about your guards and Jenkins and Pryor, whether they're starters or backup, that's right in the quarterback's face. I keep saying this. That's right in the quarterback's face. So that to me is a big factor. So Tevin Jenkins was always somebody who I always thought, was fairly decent. So he's the one that I think, for the most part. So even though it's all the offensive linemen. So, but back to you, my brothers.
Yeah, I knew you was going to go to the offensive line, and I agree with you. When you, again, young quarterback, you need a solid offensive line, but it's not like the Bears just laid down and did nothing. Like Pat mentioned, I do think Ryan Poles is a very good GM. They are building a pretty good team over there. Well, they are building a talented team. We have yet to see whether they're going to be good or not. But Jonah Jackson, they got Jonah Jackson here in a trade from the Rams. Got him for a 6th round pick. Yeah, man, that's wild. That's wild. Because Jonah Jackson, man, was one of those offensive linemen, I think that was covered in free agent, if I'm not mistaken, a couple years ago. They got another offensive lineman, Joe Thuney. They got another offensive lineman, Drew Dahlman. So Ryan Poles doing his job, so to speak, and bringing in talent on the offensive line to help his young quarterback, Caleb Williams. That's what stands out to me, man. It has to be that. It has to be that because, like I said, this is about Caleb Williams. They could dance around it all they want to. This is about that kid that you took first overall, the number 1 quarterback in the draft last year. You took him over Jaden Daniels, and we see what Jaden Daniels is doing. You took him over Bo Nix, and we seeing what Bo Nix is doing. So Michael Penix Jr. We'll see what he comes into and does this year. But again, it's about Caleb. So the GM I see is doing his job to get him some weapons and also get him protection with the offensive line. Even though they lost some pieces, I think they did bring in some pretty good additions. But y'all take it away, man. Who y'all got as a key addition here?
All right, this is the first time NYG ain't read my mind in this whole division. Hey, Grady Jarrett for the Chicago Bears at the defensive tackle position. Known as one of the best defensive tackles in the game, was top 3. Still think he's a top 10 guy, and he's going to help out in the trenches for the Bears to stop that run because they were not allowing a bunch of pass yards. But as Coach said, a lot of people were getting a lot of rush. They were running the ball in there. Grady Jarrett helps that, man. And you are correct, man. I think Ryan Poles is doing a heck of a job adding talent to this team, but it's up to the coaching to put that talent together and make it a good team. So I got to give it over to my resident coach and let him tell you about somebody that he believes is a key addition for this Bears team. But Grady Jarrett, that's my guy, man. He kind of looks like me too. That's why I picked him. So it is what it is, man. Coach, talk to him.
When I speak about the sexy fatties, trench warfare. This is what it's about, man. Now, for those of you who know me, you might have said, but Coach, you didn't talk about Jonah Jackson. He played at Rutgers before he went to Ohio State. True. But I went with Thuney for this reason. First and foremost, he comes from a championship program. He can teach the quarterback, the other linemen, the offense, how to prepare like a champion. Now, in his career, he's played in 146 games and started at 146 games. That's hard to do for an offensive lineman. I'm telling you, that's hard to do. Look at all his accomplishments there. 16 different ones, first and second team, Associated Press second team, first team, PFF second team, first team, PFW second team, first team, Sporting News first team, NFL Players Association first team, 3 Pro Bowls. as well as Super Bowl championships. That's why I went with this man. This man knows what it takes to battle in the trenches and to bring it home and win a championship. So if he was on the Giants, I'd be ecstatic right now. Yes, I love Jonah Jackson, but this man says it more. He personifies what you need in the trenches because he's going to go to war and he's going to bring it home. There you have it. Back to you guys.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that, man. Way to bring it home. Offensive line is key, absolutely, but so is the draft. Let's get into the draft picks for the Chicago Bears. Colston Loveland, first round pick out of Michigan. Second round pick Luther Burden the third, and then in the second round it had 3 second round picks. Went with Ozzie Trapillo, offensive tackle out of Boston College, and then with Shamar Turner, defensive tackle out of Texas A&M. And I think that right there, coupled with what they did in free agency, I mean, the Bears should be solid in the trenches. We're going to take a look at their team here in a second, but I like this draft. Colston Loveland out of Michigan, prototypical one, receiving tight end, as they say. And then you got Caleb Williams, yet another weapon in the second round with Luther Burden the third. Definitely like this kid out of Missouri. So again, I'm keep honing in that point, Chicago Bears fans. They got him some weapons. He got some. Brian Poles is doing his job. Put it like that. But I know Coach gonna shout out Cal Monungai, man. But Cal Monungai was on my top 5. Anybody that's on my top 5, I'm gonna hit you with that. He was on my top 5. So shout out to Cal Monungai. I think they got a good one still in there in the 7th round. But what's one of y'all's favorite? Who is y'all's favorite pick out of this list?
Yo, NYG, you doggone right. Coach gonna shout out Kyle Monungai. My guy Monungai from Rutgers, man. But hey, listen, gotta go with my guy from Michigan, man. Sorry, Coach. Colston Loveland, tight end from the Michigan Wolverines, man. He adds so much to this team. He allows Caleb Williams to be protected in the single back big formation. If you don't know what that is, you can have 2 tight ends out there, and it's like having 3 receivers. If you got Romo Duze, DJ Moore, the Colston Loveland with Cole Kmet, so you still have 4 major weapons he could throw to out of a big formation, what is situated for running. Colston Loveland, man, is dope. He can run inside routes. He can run outside routes. He can get deep. He's a bigger body tight end. He can shade people. He can do the back shoulder catch. This kid is going to be dynamite as long as Caleb Williams gets him the ball and they find unique ways and get him the ball out the backfield. And he's faster than you think as well, man. So look for the Bears to try to put up some points with people like Colston Loveland, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Cole Kmet, Luther Burden, etc. Ryan Poles doing his thing out there. It's the coaching, man. It's the coaching and the culture. What are those 2 things going to be about the Bears this upcoming season? But you got Colston Loveland, man. Put him out there on the field and let him make some plays. But got to give it to the coach, man, and see what draft pick he likes from this Bears team this past draft. Get him, go.
You know what I love about this draft? Shout out to the GM. He's drafting also in the heart of where he is, the Big Ten. He knows the talent because he sees it consistently. The best college conference that's out there. I'm sorry, SEC. But seriously, yes, you guys said I'm going to shout out Kyle Monungai. Yes, I love it. I know he's a 7th-round draft pick, and most of y'all out there looking at me probably scratching your head. A 7th-round draft pick. I mean, the kid is from Jersey, went to St. Joseph's High School, wasn't highly recruited. So his teammate was recruited higher than him. This kid came in and worked his butt off. And Chicago Bears fans are going to see what I'm talking about. They will fall in love with him. He's not a tall running back. He's roughly 5'7", 5'8". But he's around 210-ish pounds. But he's very physical. And he can one-step cut, make a defender move even right in the hole. Seen him make many linebackers miss. Now, he's not a burner, but he has good enough speed that he'll get downfield. He'll catch the ball out of the backfield. But here's one other thing that, as a coach, I love in my running backs. He picks up the blitz. And furthermore, he'll put a 250-pound linebacker, 260-pound linebacker on his butt. You don't see that from running backs, especially nowadays. And he loves it. He loves it. He loves the physical aspect because people doubt him. And he loves proving people wrong. Chicago, that's your steal. I promise you, that's your steal. You're going to fall in love with him. And you're going to see the things that he can do for you and that organization. And he's going to help Mr. Williams play better. Mark my words. But that's all I have to say. Back to you guys.
Yeah. We know, Coach. We know, man. Cal Monunga, man. But seriously, though, like I said, he was on my top 5 best fits. The series I did for the New York Giants. So yeah, kid can play. Kid, he's tough.
Mm-hmm.
I like tough football players. But do the Bears have a tough team? Let's break that down, man, as we get into the depth chart here. I mean, they did work. They did work to kind of turn this team around, overhaul this team, so to speak. Since Ryan Poles has been there. I mean, looking at the offense, like I said, Caleb Williams, you got pieces. You got DJ Moore. You got Rome Odunze. Now you got Luther Burton III. You got Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland. You got DeAndre Swift. Now you got Cal Monunga. And I think Cal Monunga is going to be that number 2. I think he going to get up to number 2 pretty quick. That's just an unpopular opinion. And then on defense, man, you got a pretty decent defense to back them up too, man. I would say they're pretty good. I mean, like Pat mentioned, Grady Jarrett, they got Montez Sweat over there. Odingbo, they got Edwards and Edmonds, the double E, Jermaine and TJ, so they got some linebackers that can fly around, make some plays. But again, man, I don't think it's no excuses here for Caleb Williams. They even got him a decent backup, Case Keenum, not the greatest, but he has played in this league. He has done, didn't he play a playoff game for the Minnesota Vikings at one point or something like that? But I don't know. Case Keenum, veteran quarterback. So you got somebody to kind of learn with. It's just no excuses for this dude. But y'all break this team down overall. Coach, defense, Pat offense. Yeah. Pat offense. Because I know Pat. I want you to give your true, honest opinion on this offense. And do you see any reason Caleb Williams should have any problems out there as far as the talent? Just the talent. You know, we could talk about Ben Johnson on a little sidebar here in a second, but just the talent. Does he have enough? Let's start it off, bro, and then Coach, we'll go to you for the defense.
All right. What's up, Coach? You know we got to do this little battle on every one of these previews, man. Hey, offense with the Chicago Bears. Let's talk about it, man. Hey, listen. You got DJ Moore at the 1, Rome Odunze at the 2. So you got DJ Moore and Odunze with the 1s and 2s. Zacchaeus, don't sleep on him. He actually can make some plays out there until Luther Burden is ready to come in and take that slot position. You got Tyler Scott, Devin Duvernay, Miles Boykins behind them. You got a little bit of depth at the receiver position as well. I'm speaking of he, as in Ryan Poles, got you a whole new offensive line. Braden Jones, Joe Tooney, Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson, and Darnell Wright. That's a pretty good offensive line considering what you were playing with years prior. And then you got you 2 good tight ends in Coastal Loveland and Cole Kmet that can both do both. They can both block and go pass receive. You got DeAndre Swift as your number 1 running back. My nun guy, he is going to be the number 2. I think he beats out Rashawn Johnson from Texas. And they actually have a pretty decent 3-man rotation at the running back position. It's the quarterback position. I'm telling you, it's Caleb Williams. And I'll continue to say this with Caleb Williams, man. I told people about this kid coming out of college. Is he ready for the pressure of the NFL? Thank goodness the Giants didn't give up their whole 5 drafts to go up there and get him, because I promise you the pressure in New York, if he couldn't handle the pressure in Chicago, he definitely wouldn't be able to handle the pressure in New York. And I'm not saying that he will never grow into handling pressure, but it's just something about that kid, man. When you read energy, it's something about that kid to where when he makes mistakes, he's not honing in and saying, yo, it's really on me. He could go say it in the media all day, but his actions say different. His actions say he goes on the bench and pouts. His actions says he cries. His actions says he throws tantrums. His actions say he's not communicating with his players. Why do you think Keenan Allen was so frustrated last year until they started force feeding him the ball? It's just something about this kid that's a little off. And I'm going a little bit too long at the tooth from getting handed over to coach. But that's just something that Chicago Bears fans need to monitor, man. Is that kid really the franchise quarterback that can lead your team to a Super Bowl? Because you ain't you ain't won a Super Bowl since '85 and ain't been to one since 2006 with Rex Grossman. So we're going to see, because I think that defense is intact. But, Coach, you tell them about that defense. That's just my pure thoughts on the Bears offense is with Caleb Williams. They have everything else.
I do like this defense, man. That front 7, man. If I'm front 6, 7, however you want to categorize it, I'm sitting here salivating. The games that I could play up front, the things that I could do with Edmonds and Edwards backing up that front 4, you're not going to easily run on them. And if they can get you behind the sticks, then they can really get after you. As Pat would say, they can get after your ass. So I'm sitting here and I'm saying to myself, now who's the DC? Because there's things that I could do with some of these safeties and these cornerbacks, even bringing the heat off of that, rotating coverage on the back end. I'm saying to myself, wow, you know, if they can hold the fort in shutting down the run, you know, they were fairly all right in the pass coverage. So I'm like, okay, I definitely like that. You know, Dayo, Garrett, you know, Dexter, Sweat up front, man, and then Edmonds and Edwards, you know, Stevenson and Johnson at your corners. You know, Baird is a decent safety. He really is, coming forward from Philly. You know, Brisker is going to continue to develop and grow. You know, I'm sitting here saying, wow. You know, I mean, Ruben Hippolyte, I followed him a little bit in college. He can develop into something, you know. So, I mean, man, I'm just looking at this defense and the conference the division that you're playing in. Wow. they're going to need to play some defense, especially with some of those offenses. So, and you don't need to shut out any offenses. You just need to contain them and not allow them to score touchdowns. Force them to kick field goals. And I think this defense can do that. But that's just my thoughts. Back to you guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. They got a solid, talented team. It's going to be on the coach and the quarterback. And that's kind of been a theme in this division, if you think about it. Coach and quarterback. Because talent-wise, this is one of the most talented divisions, team by team, that we've covered so far in the NFL. On both sides of the ball. I mean, as far as balance, every team, it seemed like, got pretty good defenses and pretty good offenses. It's the questions are the coaches, and the quarterbacks, and that's where we at. That is where we at. That being said, Ben Johnson, is he the right guy? Is he the right guy? Give me a confidence level. I know it's hard to judge. You haven't seen him, but just trying to see what he did coming from Detroit. We seen his press conference. I think we broke that down on the show before. Is he the guy? Because I asked y'all that member about Matt LaFleur. Because talent-wise, this team should be able to compete. This coach, Ben Johnson, is going to have to get the absolute most, not just out of Caleb Williams, but out of this roster in order to compete with the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings, because we've seen what they got. Y'all can answer that for me real quick before we look at the schedule. Is Ben Johnson, because this is part of the team, we previewing the roster, the overall team. Is Ben Johnson, what's your confidence level that he could take this team to the next level? They won 5 games last year.
My confidence level is not super high with Ben Johnson. Like I said, it's something about that guy too. I don't know. It's a lot of energy reading, kind of phony to me. You know what I'm saying? Like a phony type leader. He's not a guy that's going to get you motivated. You're going to have to go out there and do it yourself and be as a team and get yourselves motivated. And if your coach is like that, then you're going to need a quarterback that's like that as far as a leader. And I don't think they have the quarterback that's like that as a leader. So it's going to have to come from somebody. And when you look at their roster, they don't have a lot of people that have major leadership type qualities that I haven't seen it. Jalen Johnson, super talented, but he just goes out there and plays. DJ Moore, super talented, just goes out there and plays. He'll show his frustration, but I don't see him going out there just leading people. So who was that guy? Can it be Joe Thuney? Now that's a guy that I think that could go out there and lead those guys, Joe Thuney. But as far as the confidence in Ben Johnson, I don't have the confidence in Ben Johnson. He's going to have to show me. It's one of the times where you're going to have to show me exactly what you're about, because that whole press conference and just his energy in general, man, it just seems like one of those offensive guys that gets the job because he has a high-powered offense as a coordinator. But when it comes to being a leader of men, it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? And you could go through a list of offensive coordinators that's turned out like that. But go ahead, Coach. What's your confidence level in him?
I just can't. I just can't give a confidence level because I don't know. I really don't know. When you're a first-year head coach, like it could be one thing if he was doing it in the college, even in high school. Then I could get a certain type of a feel, and I haven't seen reports that I don't recall him coaching in college levels. So it's hard for me to say confidently, oh, he's going to get them over the hump in the first year. I have
What
to
do
see.
you okay? Talk about the impact that he could have on Caleb Williams then, because to me, this what this is about. What do you think?
As far as can he get to Caleb Williams? I mean, I'm going to have to say yes, because remember,
You can get the most out of Caleb Williams, because that's what I think. Yeah.
Remember when what's called came over from Detroit? I mean, from the Rams to Detroit. He was not considered a good quarterback, and look what you ended up getting from him. Now, Ben Johnson saw what he can do and molded the offense around that. So can he do that with Caleb Williams? Yes. The bottom line still is Caleb Williams. What does he have right here? What does he have right here? No one can coach that up. No one. I don't care if you Bill Parcells. I don't care if you Bill Belichick, Vince Lombardi. I don't care who it is. If you don't have it here, you don't have it here. Now, Johnson as a head coach, because as a coordinator, it's different being the moving over one seat to the head position. Because like Pat says, you have to be a leader of men. Yes. Now, I would say because you ran an offense that's still showing some abilities to be a leader of men, but it's different when you're not dealing with the defense, because the defense is a different mindset and a mentality. So as far as confidence, it's hard. I don't want to be too hard on him and say I don't have it. If you want to say 49%, I'll give him 40. I'm at 49%. I still need to see it. Like Pat is saying, you need to see it, but I can't also put him in a shitter. He's a first year head coach. It's like it's too hard for me to do that.
Let's go ahead and see what they got on the schedule, because they got the second hardest schedule in the NFL as far as strength of schedule is concerned. The first one is the New York Giants, so NFL not doing the bad teams no favors here. But somehow BetMGM has them at 8.5. Remember, they gave the Vikings 8.5, and they won 14 games. This team won 5. That's why I came back to the coaching question. Because again, you starting off with Minnesota and Detroit in your division. So we're going to see what you made off right off the bat. Dallas, Vegas, and Washington, tough. New Orleans. But then it gets serious. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Giants, they can give you a run, just depends. Then Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Philly, Green Bay, Cleveland, Green Bay, San Francisco, Detroit. I don't know. I think 8.5's a bit high, but what's your guys' thoughts? Over, under for the Bears?
Minnesota, washed. Detroit, washed. Dallas, washed. Maybe the Raiders. Commanders, washed. They'll beat the Saints. Baltimore, washed. Cincinnati is going to be a battle. New York Giants is always a battle. Minnesota, washed. Pittsburgh, washed. Philly, washed. Green Bay, washed. They'll beat Cleveland. Maybe get Green Bay the second game if they tripping down the stretch. San Francisco, maybe. Detroit, maybe, because Detroit might not be having nothing to play for. Under. They're under. There's no way possible this team gets to 9 games. No way possible. I don't see it, man. coach talk to him.
I'm
I don't
about to
see
go
it.
play that right now. I'm going right to the MGM bet
MGM
website,
Grand
and I'm
tripping on this.
playing the under. Coach.
5, maybe 6 wins. Maybe push 7. Maybe push 7. To be honest with you, I'll say this: if they get 6 or 7 wins, then Ben Johnson, and how they compete and play, because that's the first. That's the first thing. With a young coach, a new head coach, can you get this team to at least compete? Because that's the first step. You got to be competitive.
You got to compete.
Then you want to move on to, you want to be a good game manager and a CEO during the course of your first season. But, with a rookie head coach, a second-year quarterback that you're still trying to get used to and develop. And like Pat, I've never had confidence in him as a number 1 overall draft pick. Personally, no. I broke down a ton of film, been following him for the longest while.
Me too.
It's just, I didn't see it. I don't care about the crying. I don't care about the painting the fingernails. That stuff doesn't bother me. But it's just the other stuff. And this is where Ben Johnson is going to earn his money, because I just said it about Goff. Can you turn this quarterback? Because when Goff was thought of as being trash when he was coming over from Los Angeles, and he became a well-respected, can Ben Johnson do this with him? Can he? That's the whole question. So if this team to get the 6 to 7 wins, if they're competitive, especially, what do you guys always say? Your division games. That's where it lies. If you're at least competitive and can win a game or two, especially a game you shouldn't have won, then you're headed in the right direction with him as a head coach. Because there is talent. We just broke down the talent. There is talent there. So, but, as far as the teams they're playing, it's tough. It's tough. So, I mean, like I said, 5, 6, maybe 7 wins. I'm taking the under.
Again, somebody's got to win this NFC North, NFC East battle. Because the teams are facing each other. When I look at the Bears match up against the NFC East, I'm rolling with the NFC East. With Detroit, I'm rolling with Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference between first and your last. Under.
Yeah. And I'm going to show you a reason why I don't trust this kid, Caleb Williams, as your leader. I just don't trust him. And this here shows it right here. Now, don't look at him not hitting the target, because it wasn't about him hitting the targets. It's about them just hitting the pole. But watch this dude, man. Okay, obviously, he didn't get the result that he wanted. Look at him. Just look at him, bro. This is a weird little dude, man.
It's
a weird little dude.
It's the reaction you would see from a child, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I'm not calling him. It's a grown man, obviously. I want to keep this in perspective and be respectful, but that kind of reaction is very childish. Like, just the body language of it all.
I get it.
I understand the first. Look, listen. Let me finish my point real quick.
Sorry,
I understand the frustration, but I just it to me, a lot of Caleb Williams is body language. It's not necessarily what he's saying or what he's doing. It's just body language, and sometimes body language can tell a better story than you actually speaking in your words. But go ahead.
You're right in that regard. The only thing I'll add to it is, when he came back to the drill, did he do better? Because if that means he's getting hard on himself, but now he's pushing himself to perfection, I get it. It does come across as childish. You're frustrated. You're having a temper tantrum. I will say this, though. Did he come back the next time, or whatever they were doing next, and he played much and he practiced much better? So one little clip like this, I get it. I get where you're going. It does come across as childish, and it is. But does it also motivate him to go back into practice and practice better? Because as a coach, that's some of the things that I'm taking notes of. Yeah, I am. All right, yeah, he's acting, a little childish. But now, the next drill, how is he responding? Is he better? Is he letting some of the mistakes go also? Also, does somebody go over and talk to him? Bro, let that go. Let it go. Move on to the next thing. So it's a clip. I get it. And you're right. We got to dissect it and analyze it. But, I look at the totality of things from practice, though. So that's just me.
Yeah. But, let's wrap this up.
And that comes...
we're going to go ahead
and
wrap this up.
I was going to say one thing about this situation that comes to the totality of football. Coach is absolutely right. Did he go back to the huddle and go back there and do what he was supposed to do? Mm-hmm. Or did somebody like a Joe Thuney come over there and talk to him and get his head straight? We're going to see with the Chicago Bears, man. But 9 times out of 10, this dude does this and it's over with. I'm telling you. I don't know what it is about this kid, but go ahead, NYG.
Yeah, it's not a good look. But that's it, man. That's it. That is what we got, man. This division is very, very interesting, though. There's a lots and lots of talent on both sides of the football for each team in this division. To me, the theme here, coach, quarterback combination, which one is going to win out? You know what I'm saying? The Lions might have a little bit edge in talent, and they've been together a little bit longer, but they still got coach turnover too. Remember, they lost 2 coordinators. The Bears have a new coach, pretty much a new quarterback. They're the baby of it. The interesting thing though is Minnesota and especially Green Bay, because Green Bay should be that team. Because they got Jordan Love, who's been there, and LaFleur, who has been there as well. And they have a good, solid core. So I would look for that team to challenge the Lions if I had to pick a team to dethrone. Because just putting it all together like we just did, I got some questions in Chicago, definitely. In Minnesota, I don't know about McCarthy either. But what's your guys' final thoughts on this division?
Just like you said, the coach QB combos in the NFC North, man. The Packers should have the edge in that category, but is Matt LaFleur actually a good coach? We don't know. Dan Campbell, can you keep the roar going in Detroit after losing some of your soldiers? Minnesota, is JJ McCarthy the right pick? Chicago, Caleb Williams. Is Ben Johnson a leader of men? Is Caleb Williams a leader of men? Is there a leader of men on the Chicago Bears? They got the talent. They got the GM correct. That's a fact. You lose your whole offensive line, you go get a whole new offensive line. And you did lose one. You really got rid of him. Just keep it a buck. He got rid of him and brought in a whole new offensive line. So you got him an offensive line. You got him weapons. You got him a defense. Now, do you have him a coach? That's what's going to be on Ryan Poles. Did you hire the right guy, Ben Johnson, or was it just a, hooray hire? We can bring it in the offensive guru. I don't know. This division can be up and down all year, but I do think Detroit will be the most consistent and take that division. But Coach, what you got for us?
This division, the black and blue division, as it's always been known, there's talent up and throughout this whole division on every 4 teams. So, NYG, you have an excellent point. Is it about the coaching? The quarterback and the coaches. That's really what it'll come down to, ultimately, because they all play pretty much, for the most part, the same. They play the same division, so they're playing tough divisions. Their division in itself is going to be tough. There's talent on every. We've shown you the talent on all 4 teams. Comes down to the coaching and the quarterback in the end. That's all I have to say.
And that's all we got to say for this episode right here. Last but not least, coming back with the NFC East. Speaking of one of the divisions, the NFC North is going to be playing. So we're going to get a good little idea of how well these two divisions stack up against each other, you know, and who may have the edge, you know, in the interdivision battle. It's going to be fun. But all that said, we're going to get up out of here. Please like, subscribe. It's the ABSN, baby. Y'all know how we do. See us on the next one. Doses.
Peace.